So the best hotel credit card duo that we have on the market today, that being the Hilton Aspire card and the Hilton Surpass card, have what a lot of people have been saying, been essentially nerfed. Why it was nerfed, you may ask? Well, unless you were completely away for the last week, you know that Hilton completely revamped their entire credit card line with new changes, more credits, more annual fees, and even taking away certain things like Priority Pass memberships. So along with removal of things and the raising of annual fees comes usually some unhappy customers. So I started thinking about it and I realized they might actually have a point. So I really want to hear you guys' view on this. Has it been nerfed? Has it not been nerfed? Based on all the facts. So in this video, we're going to be talking about exactly what this duo is and all the benefits that come along with it. A few of the added credits and some of the new changes that Hilton just made, along with all of the downsides to all those new changes, and some new research that I and a few other Discord members have personally investigated on some of these credits to see how valuable and just exactly how easily you can even use them, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of toil. And then thirdly, despite all these changes, is this a duo that you want to pursue going forward? And we'll do it all faster than you could say Hilton Surpass. Wow. Surpass. Okay, so now we're on the page, and like I said, guys, I'm legitimately conflicted on whether or not this duo is something anyone should pursue in the future. So I really want to get your guys' input on this, but let's go over all of the facts. So really how I want to break this down is the annual fee, the earnings categories, and then all of the credits associated with this particular setup. The reason I don't really want to care too much about the welcome offer is it is subject to change. This is going to end in January, and who knows what it's going to be after the fact. Whatever, the bonus is always going to be good, we know that, but we want to see if this is a setup we want to keep in our wallets for the future, and not just cards that we want to sock drawer. And of course, guys, just know that a huge caveat to this video is, again, this duo is for people who love Hilton hotels. If you're a person that doesn't like Hilton hotels, you shouldn't even be here. Just go watch this video maybe, and that'll probably better suit you. But for the people that are Hilton loyalists, want to earn Hilton points, let's get into it. So the Hilton Honors Surpass card comes with a $150 annual fee, whereas just a week prior it was a $95 annual fee. And the earnings multipliers are as follows. So you're going to be getting 12 points, Hilton Honors points, per dollar spent on all hotels and resorts made directly through any Hilton hotel, as long as you use this card to book and pay for it. You're also going to be getting 6 points per dollar spent on dining. That's U.S. restaurants, takeout, and delivery. You're also going to be getting 6 points per dollar spent at all U.S. supermarkets. And then also another 6 points per dollar spent category on all U.S. gas stations. And then a 4x points per dollar spent on all U.S. online retail purchases, which is a new benefit at this time. And then, of course, the standard 3 points per dollar spent on everything else. So you can kind of see, for the people who like this duo, it already alone is covering most things in life. I mean, it has a dining, a grocery, a gas, and online retail. It's almost like an Amex Blue Cash Preferred and an Amex Gold card, and of course a Hilton card all in one. So you're kind of starting to see why it's a powerful part of this duo, and why maybe some people who are Hilton loyalists would only use this card for all spend. Now, a lot of people are wondering, okay, 6x sounds nice, it's higher than the Amex 4x, but you have to know what those points are actually worth. So most people in the world are going to have a socially acceptable answer of 0.5 cents per point. So even at the lowest level valuations you could usually find for Hilton Hotel, this 12x equals 6% back if you're going to be using those points towards Hilton hotels. 6x becomes 3%, 3%, 3%, and then 2%. And then, of course, 1.5% on everything. So that's, when you think of it like that, for a person that wants to use all those points towards Hilton hotels, a 3% basically catch-all credit card on most categories in life is actually not that bad. This card also comes with Hilton Gold status, which also has its own slew of benefits, like % bonus points on all base points. So every night that you stay at a Hilton property, aside from the True and the Home 2, you're going to be getting 18 points per dollar spent, not even counting the 12x from using the Surpass card. And then, of course, 5th night free and sometimes room upgrades, etc., etc. But one of the most contested benefits, the newest benefit that came along with this card, is the $200 Hilton credit, which comes in the form of statement credits, $50 each quarter, and they have to be made for eligible purchases directly with Hilton. Now, this is where the contention kind of comes in. Now, I would say most people in life are probably not going to be staying at a Hilton hotel every 3 months. It's just, the way it works is most people will probably do 2 big vacations every single year, so you almost are kind of foregoing, for the average person, $100 every single year, which is still okay. It's still a decently powerful card, but for us enthusiasts who are staying at Hiltons fairly often, how could we actually maximize this $200 Hilton credit? Well, so the way I kind of thought about this, and the best way to use this $200 Hilton credit, is if I am staying at a Hilton at least every 3 months, if I have this credit card and I want to maximize it, I'm going to want to pick a hotel that actually has an on-site restaurant or even a bar. And the reason you want to do that is if you go and eat at that on-site restaurant or at that bar, if you bill it back to the room, that will count as a direct Hilton purchase, thus being eligible to get that $50 back. So the recent stay I did in Wilmington, I already had an on-site property credit of $30, but I also had some days where maybe it went above that. Maybe it went to $80 because you got drinks. Maybe you had a friend with you and got another, got another burger or something like that. This is where that would kick in. You bill it to the room. You'll not only get your maybe $30 credits, like if you're staying at a Tapestry, something like that, and if you're a gold member, but then also this $50 will kick in, making that completely for free, and that can work as long as you're staying there and you could bill something to the room. And this also works for anything that you could bill to the room, like, spa services or, any other amenities that might be on the property, thus being eligible to trigger this $50 Hilton hotel credit. Yes?
Can you not stay parked in my driveway? This is the third time this week.
So now, if you are either person, one that could stay in a Hilton hotel every 3 months, if you're able to get the full brunt of that $200 every single year, that will essentially knock your annual fee down to zero and then giving you profit up to $50 every single year just for keeping the card open. Now, so far, this card alone doesn't necessarily seem unreasonable at this point, right? And then, of course, some people actually get a lot of benefit from this, but it's the free night reward. This is the same. This has not changed, but it's after you spend $15,000 on this card in the calendar year, you get a free night award, which could be worth anywhere between $400 to even $900 depending on the property that you can stay at. But most people are getting about $400, $300, $400 worth of value from it. But one of the biggest downsides and the biggest hits to the Hilton Surpass that a lot of people found a lot of value in was the removal of Priority Pass. A lot of people in the community loved Priority Pass, especially Cesar Joel. He loved being able to get 10 Priority Pass visits every single year on his Surpass card, and each one of those passes you can bring 9 family members, I'm pretty sure, which for him, who has a big family, infinitely valuable. And now that that's gone, I think that takes away, again, a lot of value for a lot of people. A few other things: national car rental status, which it technically has always had, but now it's just a direct option. Hilton Honors upgrade to diamond status, and then no foreign transaction fees. Cool, cool, cool. But now, let's move on over to the other half of this duo, the bigger half, I should say, which is the Hilton Aspire card. Now, of course, the Hilton Aspire card, the annual fee has been raised from $450 up to now $550 every single year. Bonus back categories include 14x points per dollar spent on all Hilton hotels and resorts. Now, that also is accompanied by complimentary diamond status. So that essentially, remember how we got gold status and an 80% boost on our base points? Well, now you're going to be getting 100% boost on your base points, essentially giving you, if you use this credit card, 34 points per dollar spent, which, if you redeem them the correct way, about 17 to 20% return on all your spend if you use this card and you pay in cash. Because remember, if you pay in points, you don't get the 14x because you're not using your card to pay for it, right? Secondly, you're going to be getting 7x points on select travel. That's going to be flights booked directly through the airlines or with AmexTravel.com, and also car rentals at select car rental companies. Now, that's pretty interesting because, remember, on the Surpass card, we didn't have a distinct travel category. So now we have one, at least for our airlines, that we can use for an all-encompassing travel card. Also, you're going to be getting a boost at 7 points per dollar spent on all dining. So now we can use this card for dining, not the Surpass, because the Surpass only gives 6x, which again includes U.S. restaurants, takeout, and delivery. So that's pretty powerful, giving you essentially like a 3.5% back card on everything, as long as you're booking Hilton hotels with those points. And then the same 3x points on everything. So now is where the real contention kind of starts. So you guys know the most new benefits on here. One of them includes the new $400 Hilton Resort credit. That used to be a $250 all-in-one annual credit, but now it is a $400, so they added $150 towards it. But it's now in $200 increments semi-annually, kind of like the Saxon 5th credit, so every 6 months. So I'm just going to voice some concerns that some people mentioned not only on Luke's live stream, but also on Reddit posts and the Venture Capital Discord, link below, of course, is that they are worried that for some reason that the Hilton Resort credit is not going to be able to be used towards the room rate like how it was before. AKA just use your Aspire card, book a $200 Hilton Resort, and the full $200 will come back in the form of a statement credit just, a couple weeks after that. However, I do just want to say that I guess that might be a possibility, but I really don't think it is because no language has been changed. Nothing else has been put out about that, but again, no one's tested it. I don't even know where these speculations are coming from. I think people are just kind of nervous, but just know, I guess it is always a possibility, knowing Amex nowadays, right? Whereas if that speculation actually did come true, well, I think it would completely ruin this card for the most part for most people. And then in that case, the only way you'd actually be able to use the resort credit is towards things you can build back to your resort property room. So you have to stay at a resort property, and then you'd have to book like a spa service or an on-site restaurant, something like that, kind of similar to the hotel credit that comes on the Surpass card. But again, I think that would still nerf a lot of value for a lot of people. And then also the free night award, which a lot of people love, that has not changed, so it's still going to be the same kind of way. But the only thing that did change is now after you spend $30,000 on this card, you can actually get a free night certificate, and then if you spend $60K, which is what it was before, you can get another free night certificate. So now at least they added the benefit of eligibility of getting 3 free night certificates every single year using this card. But how many people are pushing $60K through this card? I don't know. That's a little crazy, but I get some business owners out there. And then also the most contentious one, the one that, oh my God, gave me so much toil, and a lot of people in the Discord some toil, is the $200 flight credit. So this, again, much like the hotel credit, is going to be in $50 statement credit increments every single quarter on eligible flight purchases. Now, what are flight purchases, you may ask? Well, that's going to be made directly through the airline or AmexTravel.com. And this has since been replaced with the airline incidental fee credit, which has a lot of people wondering, like, can I still do my Southwest hack where I book a ticket that's under $109, and that credit would be eligible towards the airline incidental fee credit? And for people that do the United Travel Bank hack as well, now, for what it seems, now that is technically no longer possible since this is a flight credit. Now you don't have to necessarily go through that, but also it makes it just slightly harder too, because now you have to book a flight that is around $50, which, I mean, how easy is that to find? I don't know. And then refund it, get that money in flight credits, and just do that once every quarter. So this way you can build up enough points, miles, credits to take a bigger flight a year from now. I think this would be a lot more beneficial if it was semi-annually, like the resort credit, just every 6 months, give us $100. But the only answer to that is, well, Amex. But this is where things get a little bit like in the gray area. Okay, so we were trying to theorize what actually can be considered an airline purchase. What about the taxes and fees? Like, a lot of people in this community are not paying cash for all these flights. Like, most of us are paying in points and miles, right? We're transferring our points out so we can get a free ticket. What about us? What about us who, like, for me, when I flew to Vegas, I spent 75,000 Delta Sky miles to get me and my wife there, and we had to pay about $22 in taxes. Would those taxes actually be eligible towards this $50 flight credit? Because that would be beneficial. That's something I can make a lot of use for. This is where the toil came in. Okay, so what do we do? Essentially, the first thing I did was I went on the Amex app and I talked to an Amex rep and I asked them, hey, do taxes, fees, surcharges all count towards this flight credit? You know, just a simple question. And the first person said, if the tax is included on the airline ticket charge, yes, it will be part of the credits received. I said, gotcha, okay, cool, easy answer. Then Master Jam, who's also in the Discord, also asked them, and then they said, taxes and fees are not eligible for this credit. And then he followed up and he said, but are they charged by the airline? And the Amex rep said, yes, however, taxes and fees are not eligible for this credit. So now we're 1-1, right? Both with opposite answers. So then Ninja came in and he also asked, hey, does the flight credit count towards the fuel surcharges and the fees and taxes? And then they said, as we do not trigger an airline choice, yes, that would trigger as long as the purchase is made through the Amex Travel Portal.com or an airline, and then also purchases for a scheduled flight on a passenger carrier, or purchases post within the quarter for the corresponding quarter credit. Okay, so just not too late. So that's 2 out of 3. We're in the clear, right? Like, okay, majority rules, it probably works. So if that wasn't even enough, I wanted to make extra sure. And then I contacted the Amex concierge, so this way they can book me a dummy flight. So I kind of just, said, hey, I want to book a flight, but I just had a quick question first. So then I asked her on the phone, like, hey, again, the same question. So basically, after asking her, and she had to ask a bunch of other colleagues around the office, I had to run around, she eventually came to this conclusion.
She's saying if the charge is only for taxes and not an actual airfare purchase, it may not be considered eligible. It really just depends on how they send over the charge.
Interesting.
It's towards an airfare purchase, not specific to taxes. So it really just depends on if the airfare is how they code the transaction, essentially.
Got it. That makes sense.
Depend on if it's considered or not.
Got it. Yeah, not bad. Well, Courtney, I really appreciate you hustling like that for me today. So basically, it depends on how the airline is going to code the transaction. So if it's a Delta and they charge you the taxes and fees and fuel surcharges as Delta purchases, then the flight credit should trigger based on everything that they're telling us. However, if the airline itself does not code it as that and they code it as something else, who knows, any other expenses other than the airline itself, you might be out of luck of getting the flight credit. That might not be possible at all. Again, we need more data points. Who really knows? So what I did too is I went back to my Delta flight for Vegas, and I noticed I was charged $11.20 here, and it did code as travel in the airline, and it did come directly from Delta Airlines in Atlanta. So I would say, for me, based on everything they're saying, that $11.20 should actually have come off if I use an Aspire card to book that flight, even with points and miles. Whew! So that was a lot of toil. We went through the ends of earth to try to figure out this answer for you guys today. But again, like everything else in the points and miles community, your mileage may vary. We're just going to need some more data points on this, but I want to at least bring that to the forefront because that could be some value going forward. And then also she said this.
All right, Anthony. Well, thank you for being the best part of American Express. You have a good rest of your day.
So I don't know if I have a future ex-wife in the making, but, you know, I digress. And also I just wanted to make sure, but we did ask a million times, no, lounges do not count. I thought it might have, but from everything I see, it does not count, and you can't use the flight credit towards lounge access. What can you do? That's just what the Amex reps have told us. So I just want to reiterate the point again. Now, the taxes and fees are cool. Should that not actually be a thing, and maybe all these Amex reps are wrong because it's so new, I think that nerfed this card a lot for most people in the credit card community because, well, most of us are booking, like I said, points and miles on these flights. We're not actually paying cash for a lot of these flights. So if we're going to be forced to kind of find a $50 flight, which I think is going to be impossible unless it's like, you know, a 30-minute stretch, I think that's going to nerf a lot of benefits. I don't know, but what do you guys think? Is it nerfed? Is it better? What do you guys think so far? Another thing that adds into this travel card setup is it does come with a $189 clear credit, which, you know, if you don't have a green card or a platinum card, and maybe these are the only two travel cards you have, that's really beneficial. Because for that price, you can get you and your spouse signed up completely for free. I would say that the clear credit is very beneficial. We were able to move through the lines way quicker when we were coming back from Vegas. And then, of course, $100 Hilton on property credit, which nobody's been able to make use of. I don't know anybody that's actually been able to make use of it, call, or even pay cash for these properties. It seems like a whole ringer, like, you know, so. And nobody so far has come forward to say they could use it, so I just kind of consider it null and void. And then, of course, all of the different protections that come on this card, so baggage insurance, trip delay insurance, trip cancellation insurance, purchase protection, extended warranties, all these different protections that come on high annual fee, high tiered cards. And then one new protection here, which is new cell phone protection. Sometimes the unexpected happens. So Luke did mention on his live stream that he heard some data points from people that mentioned the phone line in the plan has to be directly through the provider who sold you the phone. So for example, if I go to AT&T, I buy the phone plan with the Aspire card, then I'll be eligible for the cell phone protection. But as his example, he said you can't just buy a phone on eBay and then just go get like an AT&T, you know, wireless plan. Then that wouldn't actually be covered under this cell phone protection. So I guess that's a good discrepancy. Let me know if you guys have different data points saying otherwise. But I guess it's something nonetheless. This is something that could have benefited me had I had this card when I bought my phone. And then again, of course, the removal of priority pass, which again nerfs this card for a lot of other people. So what's our full breakdown here? You know, what's the total amount of benefits and credits and all the different things that come on this card, just so this way we can see everything in totality in nice clean numbers. So for these two cards, you're going to be getting a total of 34 points per dollar spent on all Hilton hotels, of course, booked with the card, in cash with the hotel property. 7 points per dollar spent on all U.S. dining, takeout and delivery. 6 points per dollar spent on U.S. groceries. 6 points per dollar spent on all gas stations. 4 points per dollar spent on online retail. And then, of course, 3x on everything else. And then again, the percent back category should use those points for Hilton hotels based on the lowest possible cent per point valuations that most people get out there. Annual fee for these two cards in total is $700 every single year. You're going to be getting a free night certificate that most people are getting about $400 in value every single year from. A $400 Hilton resort credit that can be used towards Hilton resort portfolio. $200 flight credit. $200 hotel credit, Hilton Diamond status, and then again, all the different protections and insurances that you get along with these premium travel credit cards. And then, of course, the Aspire card is now metal, which I guess is worth something. So despite all of that, right, like despite the annual fee being raised $155, despite some of these credits being a little bit harder to use, or maybe some of them most people aren't going to use at all, and the removal of priority pass, do you think you'd be able to profit more than $700 from this duo, considering all the spend, everything else, just using these two cards alone for just your top tier everyday spend and travel credit cards? And would you consider getting this duo if you don't have it now? But truthfully, as I'm speaking to to you, the most value I really got over the years was the welcome offers on said Hilton credit cards and using them for life-changing vacations like this stay at the Tapestry in Wilmington, North Carolina, because honestly, it was a great trip and just shows the true power of Hilton hotels if you do it right. So I'll see you over there. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. Thank you.